Welcome to Celebrating Our Food and Telling Stories of It. I am Sophie, your host and producer, and this is Our Food Stories, the podcast for us and by us. Episode 16. What food traditions do you still practice today? Today's episode is unique. I feel like I keep saying this about every episode, and that is because they are. It is unique in that it isn't a dish or a recipe, but a recollection of a particular tradition surrounding food that our special guest Benjamin is inspired to carry forward from his mother. Enjoy.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Busenze. So while I was growing up, though I was aware that my mother feeding me from her own plate was a sign of affection, it wasn't something that I recognized as a tradition. So sometimes I was even just reluctant to take the food because I already had enough food, or I just wasn't hungry in that moment, or I just didn't like the specific food that she was offering to me. And I just took it as my mum being a mum and just being pushy. But it was only much later on that I understood its cultural significance as a Uganda.
I'm going to tell you about one of the ways we express love in Uganda, in Buganda. So, when I was a little girl, one of the best things that could happen when you're eating food is for your mum, your dad, your auntie, or your jaja, that is grandma or grandpa, whoever was sitting on the table with you or sitting down with you, because sometimes you sit on the floor. It's a certain formation that you have. And whoever is the oldest during that sitting when you're eating would, what felt like randomly, but for sure it was not with them, but they would get food from their plate. So that could be sweet potato, or that could be cassava, anything from their plate, whilst they're still eating, not when they're finished, so they want to empty the plate. But in the midst of eating, they would get something, maybe a piece of chicken, a piece of meat, or beef, that is. So they would get that piece and put it on your plate. You could be sitting next to them or sitting maybe 2 or 3 people away from them. And they would say, as they're passing on that food or piece of chicken or piece of meat, as they're passing it to your plate, they would say, Okuddiza Guba Mwoyo, which translates to that I'm giving this to you. So I'm giving this to you with all my love or appreciation. So because that's exactly what it was, or still is, it is an appreciation, an expression of love for something that you have done. It may vary from doing your house chores and completing them faster than anyone else, or it could be from helping a neighbor and they noticed that you did, or it could be where we lived in Sweden, we would go and visit my auntie and she would always do that to each and every one of us, you included, put some food from her plate to our plate because she had not seen us for a long time. And yet, there we are, sharing a meal together. So she would do that, she would share with us. And interestingly, I noticed many times she would not do that with the others who live with her. And the beauty of it all, there was no jealousy. You don't feel that you're not loved because on that occasion they have not given you food from their plate or they've not shared, because you know your time will come, your moment will come. That used to make us look forward to sitting down to eat food together, because you don't know if that expression of love is coming to you. And we still do that. I do that with my children. I do that with Papa. Papa does it with me, and it carries on. That is a tradition that I'm not sure if it's in any other tribe, but it is in the tribe of the Baganda.
That was my mother, Peace Luwede, or more formally, Omumbeja Peace Luwede, as she's of a royal lineage in Buganda. So She explained the tradition of an elder relative passing on food from their plate to a younger relative's plate while sharing a meal as a sign of love and affection, which is an act usually accompanied by the saying Okuddiza Guba Mwoyo, as she was explaining. And I started to notice how frequently it was done within the household, both in Uganda and in the diaspora. So I understood that giving someone or offering someone the best piece of meat or the sweetest sweet potato on your plate wasn't necessarily to feed you or to feed someone who already has food on their plate, but it represents offering a loved one the best part of yourself, or offering them the best that you can offer in that moment to remind them of your affection towards them. So, I mean, for others like me who weren't born or raised in Uganda, I've always been stressing the importance of recapturing our ancestral values to be able to retain that cultural identity and have a deeper understanding of our cultures beyond just, I don't know, beyond just the YG or Uganda cranes or the Rolex. As nice as all of that is, I've always stressed having a deeper understanding of where we come from and what our ancestors valued as well. So for something as seemingly mundane as eating and sharing a meal, there are layers to be uncovered and understood. And I'm grateful for my mum for instilling those ancient values in me from an early age, even though I might have not appreciated them at the time. So yeah, this is something I'll definitely continue with my own children in the future.
Thank you, Benjamin, for this wonderful recollection. While listening to this story for the first time, I realized we have a similar tradition, where elders will give a portion of their food to us, the children, and in order to receive it, you had to use two hands. If you can remember that, leave a comment on this episode. Now I am curious. If you are Ugandan, leave a comment on this episode and let us know if you have a similar tradition in your tribe. You can find Benjamin on Instagram at legacy_UG, where he shares Ugandan history, culture, and our ancestral legacies. Remember, if you have a delicious food story that you'd like to share, you can reach out to me via email at akitcheninuganda@gmail.com or on Instagram at akitcheninuganda. Don't forget to share the podcast with others, to leave a review or a rating, and to comment on your favorite stories wherever you listen. See you in the next episode.